however you want to show on your side, I guess.
Yeah. Hello, folks. We're back here with Running with Red. We're going to be doing an interview on racing, the way it was and the way it is now. And I'm here today with Joey Wittenberg. Mr. Wittenberg's a long-time racer. How many years have you raced, Mr. Wittenberg?
About 23 or so myself, maybe 24 or so.
About 23 or so. And folks, kind of got something exciting here. In my opinion, I've loved racing, like racing all my life. Joey here has still got the car his daddy drove. Probably what, back in the 70s?
Yeah, late 60s.
Late 60s?
Late 60s, early 70s.
And 70s. And folks, we're gonna walk down here and we're gonna show you a car that his daddy drove.
Yep.
And this car, folks, has still got the motor in it, the last motor his dad probably raced with in that car.
It was.
Is that right?
It is, yeah.
And it is still sitting here, probably almost race ready, folks. Here it is. Mr. Wittenberg, what kind of car is this here?
It's 37 Chevrolet Coupe.
37 Chevrolet Coupe, folks.
Yeah.
And you know, we used to see a lot of these cars back in the day. Even when I was little, I see them race way up in the 70s. But you can see this car is still in what I would call perfect shape. You know, it's 37 Plymouth.
Chevrolet.
37 Chevrolet, he says.
Coupe,
Yeah. And this car, actually, folks, this car could probably go to the track. And as you'll notice, the roll cage in it and stuff. Joey, I'd say back in them days, they just worried more about flipping, and they probably didn't have as many safety rules and regulations like they have today, wouldn't you?
That's right. Yeah, they
You
just
know,
put them a few bars in there and halfway stick welded them.
Yep, and which you see this one has a racing seat, but probably at one time it might not even had that, you know. It might,
Right, it was the old, you had an old bulldozer seat in it.
yeah. And you see, folks, you know, they wanted to protect their radiator and had some kick bars on the side of it, kind of help protect the tires and maybe keep somebody from getting into them. But
Yeah.
you know, they love the sport, and they raced what they could race back in them days, I would say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they did.
You know, they pick them up a car like this was probably pretty cheap. And then they done the work themselves, and they built the roll cage and everything. It's just a little bit different this day and time, though, ain't it, Joey?
It is.
And
I remember Dad telling me that he bought this thing, I think it was $15,
yeah,
down in Crab Orchard down there. It was a whole complete car, and I was 9 or 10 or so, and I remember helping him rip all the insides and knock all the glasses out and trashed all that. I remember helping Daddy do that in this old car right here.
so you fell in love with racing before you really know what the love for the sport was, didn't you?
Yeah, I really didn't mean to.
Yeah.
And then back in 98, 98, I guess it was, I walked down in there. That's when the pits was down in the middle there at Crossville. I walked down there, and I said, well, I want me one of these.
Yeah.
And in about a week, the Lord let me, he made it where I had my own car. I was racing my own car there in about a week.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, one thing about life, we'll find out that the Lord will provide.
Yeah,
You know.
that's right. Yeah, he means for us to have good times, and But you know, he wants our heart. You know, we got to be straight up. You know,
Yeah.
all the time. It's a dangerous thing to be without the Lord, especially these days.
Yeah.
Hang on to it and
Yeah.
put Him first. A lot of people think racing is first, but no, it ain't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all right to race some. We've got to give Him the. You have to give it all to Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We sure believe in that. But
think racing's first.
yeah. But if you'll notice, folks, when he raised the hood on this car, he just raised it up from the front. So back in them days, even though we don't think much about it and stuff, they did fabricate a lot of their stuff, you know, and they made ways to make it easy for them and stuff. Just like in a way, that is like what they do today, you know. All these cars today is, we'll take a look at one here in a minute, is prefabricated. It's just the people that raced back when Joey's dad raced cars like this here. They built them and fabricated what they done on their own. I mean, they didn't.
Right.
It wasn't store bought, was it?
That's right. Back in the Bible days, you know, they had the old chariot races.
Yes.
The old chariot races. Many of you have watched that old movie Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
So racing has advanced from the chariots that time to this.
Yep.
And then later on in this time from this to what that you'll see here in a few minutes, and it's something.
If it's folks, we're going to walk inside here and we're going to check the car out that Joey races now, and do a little more talking and a little more of the interview here, and we'll be right back with you. All right, folks, we're back inside his garage here, and we've come back into his garage where he's got his car. Joey, what you run open wheel modified, right?
Oh, yep, open wheel modified.
Is that what you've always run?
It is. I started out with that back in about '98 was my first car. It was an old Larry Shaw asphalt car.
Yeah.
Started fooling with it.
Yeah. So yours what he runs today, folks, compared to what his dad raced back in the day. You can see it. We got a lot more roll cage, all fabricated body, sheet metal bodies and stuff. You know, even down quick change rear ends. I mean, everything's totally different this day and time. Joey, I guess over the years the cars has got a lot safer, ain't they?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have. The overall structure, the bracing, and all that they go to fabricate these bodies is wow. It's amazing what they can hold up to. Even several years a car be ran, that they're still safe. You know, we lost that car there last year, the old Trump car. Many of you may have saw it.
Yeah.
And old boy got into it and it turned it into the wall. And that old car got up into the fence and upside down and come down real hard on its top, and it bent all four of the halo bars, you know, 2, 3, and 4, rolled them in, and it kept us safe. And but the Lord was holding our head too. I didn't have a Hans.
Yeah.
Or nothing device on, and so I know the Lord protected us. He done his part there too, but
Yeah.
it feels good, you know, to get in an old car and belt up and sit in there and helmet up and glove up. You know, you feel pretty good. You know, tighten them belts, and I just had cinched them belts up, you know, just before we wrecked.
Yeah. And speaking of belts, Joey, I guess probably back when your dad raced and stuff, they didn't probably have no manufacturing dates and stuff on seat belts and stuff, and years and how long they had to be changed, or you know, if they just had a seat belt, they was probably
just an old lap belt.
tickled to death back then, you know.
Yeah.
Now we got what they call a 5-point harness.
It is, yeah.
Here in the seats, and
Yeah,
you
actually,
see.
I've got some weights in there right now. We've been scaling, but you can see right here is the shoulder part to them.
Yeah.
This is an Impact brand, and
Yeah.
they're still in date, I think.
Yeah, and all belts now, Joey, I think they recommend a certain amount of years or certain time. They've got dates on them and stuff, you know.
Yeah, 3
And
years. I think.
they stay up on that stuff. But you see, folks, inside the car here, you see he's got like 4 bars in his door. His dad's car didn't even have them, and look how many more bars is on your roofs and stuff in these cars today. And they have fuel cells in them, and that's one of the reasons I was talking and doing this interview is because Joey had his dad's car, and you can tell at the difference back then. Joey, do you remember a whole lot about your dad racing?
Yeah. Yeah, quite a bit. I was about 8 or 9, but I had to go to them races.
Yeah.
I had to take a nap before Mama let me go to the races. I'd take a nap, and then they had to about halfway sneak me in. Dad didn't really like that, but I begged all the time. They'd hide me on the tires and so forth, and I'd have to stay up close to the trailer, and boy, I loved to go.
Yeah. And you talk about, you know, you went down here in '98 at Crossville. You still race Crossville Speedway.
Yeah, we don't travel a lot. We seem like we've been struggling ever since we've had one. To get it good enough to going over here to go somewhere else. And
yeah.
It's a cop out, maybe, whatever. But
yeah, and I noticed too. You know, well, I know I've been around racing a whole lot. You know, my whole life about it since I was like 5-year-old, but. Your motors and stuff anymore. I mean, you don't just run what you can find in the backyard or drag out of a pickup truck or a car and put in there and run. I mean, you know, you about have to have a built motor anymore. It's hard to build your own motor and race like it used to be.
It is. It's kind of, I'm glad you said that. It's exactly hard to build a motor, build a car, keep the car up and run and do it all. I've got my boy and another good boy here that helps us race. And there's 3 of us, and clean the car up, you know, and do all the work during the week. But it's sometimes it requires a little more than I want to give. But it'll get you going. You know, it demands it. You know, you don't just we're just going to go out there and play. I've heard that a lot. You ain't playing out there.
Yeah, yeah, and even in the off season, like right now, I've noticed you've got the front end, the hood, and stuff off. I'm sure you. A lot of work in the wintertime. I mean, it's even though we don't race in the winter around here and we race like a seasonal thing, it still demands a lot of work and time, don't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
You know.
Always advancing. You know, these things, everybody's faster every year.
Yeah.
I wish they'd slow them down someday, but the suspensions is where the speed comes in.
Yeah.
And the motor plays a good part, but not all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes I guess the whole package.
Yeah, Lisa said the kit and caboodle.
Yeah, it takes a whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, high performance parts, big blocks, you know, good Rodex heads and roller cams, and just about the best you could buy. You build a brand new motor, an engine is a mystery, and there's still no promise it'll stay.
Yeah.
Always a mystery.
Yeah, there's you see folks. He had a decent year, looks like, at Crossville. He's finished 3rd in points overall, has his trophy on the card. I think you finished up, you finished, was it 2nd?
Yeah, 2nd.
Last year?
Yeah, I forget what we ran we've run a few seconds.
Yeah. And, but it takes a lot of dedication, don't it, buddy? I mean,
it does. Yeah. That's all we do here.
Yeah. And expense-wise, you know, like we was saying, you know, I'd say even back when his dad raced, you know, expense was probably a big thing. And I'd say today it's even bigger. You know, the cost and stuff is really plays a part in it, and I'm sure it did back when your dad raced, you know. And I'd say back then, would you say it's kind of like today is kind of like back then? You know, there was probably people that had good sponsors and more money and could afford stuff that other people couldn't afford and kind of give them the edge. I guess it's still kind of that way today, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's a lot of the bigger racers, you know, they have big sponsors and get out there and go for them. And of course, you know, they build that up. You know, if a lot of people sees a winning car, you know, they want to help that car out. You know, get their company name out there too. And yeah, that's a big thing. We run a pretty low budget here. We've got some sponsors, Best One and Best One Tire, and some people Advanced.
And that's what it takes, you know. And even if they ain't a big sponsor, folks, I mean, little sponsor, you'd be surprised.
That's right.
You know,
Got tires
people
and
say,
fuel.
well, people say, boy, I'd sure like to help that car, but I just ain't got much money. Folks, you'd be surprised how far $10 or $20 will go sometimes, you know.
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
You know, $25.
Like I say, tires, if I may say, it's all right. You know, we had Hale Quarries helped us, and Andy Hood backhoe service.
Yeah,
Turner Boys logging, and
yeah. And I've noticed you got outlaw signs, so is that your graphic person go to?
Yeah, Outlaw Graphics, that's Joe.
Yeah.
He does a good job keeping it going.
Yeah.
He does a bunch of them.
And I notice you always keep a pretty good looking car and stuff. And that's kind of hard too, ain't it? You know, especially during racing season. Is it pretty hard to keep your car in top notch shape? You know, I guess sometimes, you know, if you race a whole lot, you about have to go out with a bent quarter panel or something. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know
we
what?
like to keep them looking good, but things get bent. This aluminum's pretty easy to work with. I like to straighten it out, hammer it back out, and sometimes put a new side on. But yeah, cleanliness, you know, is and keeping everything checked. You know, just crawl under it sometimes. Just look.
Yeah,
Just look and gaze around. You'll find a little something once in a while, and we've been able to finish a lot of races. Hadn't won a whole ton of races, but we finished a lot of good races. Had a lot of good things happen.
yeah,
Thank the Lord.
yeah. And I'd say that maintenance and regular upkeep and stuff has a lot to do with that, wouldn't you? I'd say man didn't stay on top of his car week in and week out, that he would fall behind, and next thing you know, you'd be breaking parts left and right. But folks, Joey's got a great looking car here. He's been a racing for 20 some years. Second generation, I guess. Do you know if your grandpa or anybody before your dad raced?
My uncles did.
Yeah,
I don't know if Grandpa ever really raced. Of course, everything was built at his shop up there,
yeah,
and he was in it whether he really meant to be or not.
yeah.
And Uncle Bill and Uncle Norbert.
So you're definitely a second generation for sure.
Yeah.
Probably more, but
Yeah.
you know, for sure, second generation driver, and keeping it going, and folks, people like Joey, I mean, they need your support.
Right.
You know, the tracks need your support. Support your local racetracks.
Right.
Every chance you get.
Yeah.
You know, that's what makes our sport grow and do better, and that's what keeps our sport going. That's why a lot of people will say, you know, well, I can go this weekend, but I really don't got time or stuff. You know, I would suggest, you know, try to make time. If you like any kind of racing, dirt track racing or stuff, you need to try to make a little time for it and go out and support your local tracks and your drivers. They all need it, and you know, if we want to see this sport continue on, they got to have the support from the fans and
That's all there is to it.
and stuff, you know. So we highly recommend supporting your local tracks and drivers. But Joey, I sure like to thank you for your interview, and it's real nice getting to see you, Dad's car, and I've seen a few cars around like that, and it seems like about most of them's made about the same back in them days.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure they was probably race cars manufactured for NASCAR or somebody back in them days, but you know, not for those old dirt trackers.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
We appreciate you too and all that you do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, folks, if you like seeing videos like this, and want to see more videos like this, give us a comment, subscribe and like our videos, and we'll get some more videos out here about dirt track racing, and hopefully we get to visit a few tracks in the near future. But one more look at his car here, and you know he mentioned Best One and stuff there. He's got some sponsors, but it takes a lot, folks. Anybody out there willing to help just a very little bit, I know this man here would greatly appreciate it. He loves the sport. You have to love the sport to do what we do and what they do every week.
Yeah.
And all winter. I mean, they work all winter long. You know, as you see this year, it is almost Christmas time, and he's got it in the garage on jack stands. And I'm sure it ain't because it's ready to go racing. It's because he's checking everything, making sure his heims and everything stays good. A whole lot to these old cars, and we sure glad to get out here and do this interview. Joey, thank you very much, and
Yes,
hopefully racing season we'll pull another interview. Maybe catch you at the track or something. And
All right.
all right, thank y'all for watching. Like and comment on the video if you'd like to see more interviews like this and videos. Thank you.